and the vice president at that time walked the grounds of Auschwitz and laid a wreath. And as he was at the death wall, where so many people were machine gunned, 2 Marines assisted the vice president with that wreath laying. And tears started to come down the vice president's cheeks and Mrs. Bush, as well as our U.S. Marines. And as the president exited to go into the death block where so many people were tortured, he turned back to me, he said, "I'd like their names." And I went back to the Marines and they actually apologized. They said, "We're sorry, sir, we're not supposed to show emotion." And I told them how proud the vice president was that our people in uniform could show emotion and feel the feelings of this terrible and awful place that we helped to liberate. And then right after that, we went to the Children's Cancer Hospital, and he and Mrs. Bush were surrounded by some children of the very age of Robin, the daughter who was taken by a terrible disease of leukemia. And yet they broke down again. And as they opened books that Mrs. Bush had brought, and we brought medical equipment, these are the type of people the Bushes were. And this is the type of leadership. And that really touched all of us on the staff to see how invested he was as a human being and the power he knew he had and the judiciousness of that power and the humanization of that power. That's what we saw on that trip, and that touched me all the years that I've known him. And I've seen event after event exhibit that same type of leadership.
Brad, thank you. Patrick O'Carroll, 26 years in the Secret Service. I'm confident you saw a lot of things you can't tell us about, but of the highlights, one you could?
Absolutely, Shepard. As I'm watching the monitor here, I'm seeing the motorcade going through Houston, and it reminds me of all the different motorcades that I was on with at the time, Vice President Bush, and then Secret Service was with them as President Bush. And I guess probably the most notable story is that right after the election, or not the election, the inauguration in 1981, I had the opportunity of driving in that motorcade. In fact, I drove the limousine that Vice President and Mrs. Bush were in. And as we're going down Pennsylvania Avenue, Vice President Bush was told that up in a few feet we're going to be opening up the roof on the car. And he turned to Mrs. Bush and he said, "Hey, babe, I told you I'd take you places." And at that point, the roof opened up and the crowd started to roar, and the two of them stood up. And I got to say, to this day, I still remember as if it was yesterday.
How would he feel about what we've seen today and over the past week?
I must say that I'm very emotional about it. One, I'm very proud of the fact that there's a tribute to this hero and this, public servant that was a model to all of us. I've modeled my career after him. I'm sure many of my colleagues have done the same thing. And it's bittersweet. It's an end of an era, and another at the same time. If you took a look at the cathedral yesterday, that entire front row is being protected by the men and women of the Secret Service. So it reminds me of my former career, and in many ways, I go back to the days when I was with Vice President and then President Bush.
Patrick, thank you. Brad Blakeman and Les Shorba as well. Thanks to all of you. You may notice that there have been a lot of Houstonians lining the side of the road. The motorcade route was in the papers this morning. They're following along, and will follow the former president's body as it returns to College Station for internment at his presidential library as Fox News Channel's coverage continues throughout the day.
My hope is that in remembering the life of George Herbert Walker Bush and in honoring his accomplishments, we will see that we are really praising what is best about our nation, the nation he dearly loved and whose values he embodied.
Undoubtedly, when the last words are written on him, they will certainly include this, that the fulfillment of a complete life cannot be achieved without service to others.
I once was lost, but now I'm found.
Tears honor those we love. George Bush was never afraid to shed tears, and so today I bid you to follow his example.
We rejoice, Mr. President, that you are safely tucked in now and through the ages with God's loving arms around you. Because our glory, George, was to have had you as our president and as such a friend.
After days of mourning and paying tribute, America says its final farewell to former President George H.W. Bush. Welcome to Outnumbered Overtime. I'm Harris Faulkner. We pick up the coverage where we are watching together live now as the hearse carrying the former president is traveling to a railway facility just north of Houston, Texas. That's where a departure ceremony is expected this hour. We are covering this live now. Bush's casket will be loaded onto a train called Bush 4141 for a 70-mile journey yet to his presidential library at Texas A&M University. All of this happening this hour. He will be buried in a private ceremony later this afternoon, right beside his late wife, Barbara Bush, and their young daughter, Robin, who died when she was just 3 years old. Rick Leventhal joins us now live from St. Martin's Episcopal Church, where the service just wrapped up and this latest journey began. And Rick, one thing I would say is that it just felt so personal and very Texas with touches of that beautiful music.
It was a remarkable service, and the exit of George H.W. Bush with the Joint Military Honor Guard carrying his casket out here to the hearse. I don't know that anyone didn't have chills when that scene was playing out. A very different scene now, Harris. Obviously, there are buses here to pick up the 1,000 or so invited guests who are inside St. Martin's Episcopal Church for this funeral service here in Texas. A lot of favorite sons and a lot of very close friends and family of George Herbert Walker Bush inside, and they heard some very moving eulogies from James Baker, who said he had been a friend to the president for more than 60 years. He called him a truly beautiful human being, a charter member of the greatest generation. Here's more from James Baker.
He had a very effective way of letting me know when the discussion was over. He would look at me and he'd say, "Baker, if you're so smart, why am I president and you're not?"
Humor was